There is this book called The Courage to be Disliked, and I really hope all parents read it at least once. So it talks a bit about Adlerian psychology and how you can use it in your life. One concept that Adler has proposed that was really explained in the book that I really loved is this concept of separation of tasks. And I want to explain it in relation to children. So the example that they used was about parents and children, where it is like, if a parent does not force their child to study, will the child study? We have no guarantee that the child will, right? Many children are there who don't really enjoy the kind of education that is being imparted in our schools right now. They don't enjoy the style of studying that is promoted right now. So yeah, they may not be putting in a lot of effort and getting great marks or anything, so the parent has to force them. But then the question is, how long can you keep forcing your child? You might force them in class 5, 6, 7, 8. What about when they are in 10th? What about when they are in 12th? What about when they are living in their hostels? They're away from you at college. Are you still going to keep forcing them? So force only works for a limited amount of time, and it like creates a barrier in your relationship with the child. If you keep forcing them to do things against their will, they start seeing themselves as incapable and incompetent. They start thinking that you don't trust them at all, you don't believe in them, and they become dependent on this force to be able to do anything in life, which is not good for them as they grow into adults, because self motivation is an important skill that all children need to develop. So what's the solution there? If your child is not studying, it's not a bad idea to let him fail maybe one or two exams. I'm not saying you have to wait till they're in their board classes to let them do it. But in class 5, in class 6, your kid is not studying, your kid is not putting in effort. Let them fail, because it won't be that big of an issue when your kid is in lower classes. It's not going to affect their life that deeply. But this is actually easier said than done. And the reason is that parents tend to take their children's failures and successes as their own personal thing, right? If my child fails, it means I have failed. If my child studies and succeeds, it means I have succeeded. That is where our relationships go wrong. And this happens not just in our relationship with children, but it also happens in our relationships with all the other people we love. So when we start taking their behavior personally and start trying to control it, that brings a problem in the relationship. Instead, what we need to do is we need to engage in something called separation of tasks, which is, it is my task to love this person, to love this child. It is my task to love them unconditionally and provide them with the guidance they need to grow into good, happy, healthy, successful adults. So guidance is not force. Guidance is where you model the right behavior, the behavior that you want to see. You model it in front of them, you show it to them, you talk to them about it. Instead of constantly criticizing and advising, you are showing them how to live it through your own life, right? So all these are things that we have to do as parents. That is our responsibility. So that is our task. Now, adopting that behavior, making it habit, actually doing it consistently, that is the task of the child. That is not your task. So whether the child does it or not is not really in your hands. That is in the child's hands. It is when we try to take the task from the child and we try to make them do it, that things go wrong. Then there is like rebellion and all these problems are there, right? But if instead we treat them as human beings, if we treat them as people, and we do our best, we do the maximum of whatever we can and leave the rest up to them. We don't make decisions for them, we don't try to control them, we try to be good parents and we leave their task to them. If we can do that, then that relationship becomes sweeter, that relationship becomes more secure, and that because that relationship becomes more secure, the child also starts feeling safe enough and relaxed enough to truly observe, explore and learn. And that observation, exploration and learning is what is going to help them develop their character and their personality. And that will be something permanent, because that is a character and personality that the child has like created by themselves. It's not something that was imposed upon them. So this separation of tasks is a very important concept to keep in mind as parents, even as husbands, as wives, as like children of aging parents. Don't try to take responsibility for the tasks that other people have to do. Yes, you love them, of course you love them, but because you love them, you have to allow them to take responsibility for their own tasks, and you can only take responsibility for your own tasks. Think about how much sweeter our relationships can be if everybody could just take responsibility for themselves, for the way they treat others, and leave the rest to whomever it belongs to.